Hello and welcome back to Chaosbane. Last time we helped... what's the guy's name? Not you... It's not Erlanger, but it's the other guy. He wanted us to go and rescue some hunters who ended up either converting to the Slaneshi cult or got sacrificed. Or got brainwashed. I couldn't really tell. It seemed like they all got converted to some degree. And then we reported back, told them, they got converted, and we just dropped them. And now we have to talk to Erlanger, who's back, and hopefully has useful information, instead of useless information.
Elessa, where have you been? I have exciting news.
Bro, where have you been?
You know the location of the key.
Yes, the elves hid it inside a monument deep in the forest. The books you recovered provided the crucial information. It's really quite a fascinating story. Would you like to hear it?
Perhaps later. Tell me about the key.
Well, if you insist. There is a hidden path that leads to the monument. I don't know its exact location, but I can give you a general area to search in.
That's all I need. Thank you, friend Erlanger.
See, as much crap as I give Erlanger, I can actually sympathize. I know what it's like to be a nerd who kind of gets consumed by something. And someone can want something very specific from me, and I will just be like, hey, I can tell you this useless information kind of pertaining to this thing, but not entirely relevant. And, people will be like, can you just skip to the point? And it's like, yeah, I can do that. I know that feel, man. It's rough. It's nice to see Erlanger give us, pertinent information instead of having to just go do some mindless quest of go find these idiots. Admittedly, last mission kind of just irritated me. Because, these hunters, would you not have warned everyone, been like, hey, look, we're currently sending someone to fight these guys. The forests are not safe right now. Instead of just being like, yeah, let's just go out and hunt in the proverbial hornet's nest that's been kicked up as of late. Nothing can go wrong here. No one's totally out here trying to whoop our ass or anything. And I get that's kind of a minor thing, why are you applying logic to just kind of poor writing, but it's just one of those things where it's like, come on, you know no one... Okay, I would say you know no one, but people would do it. As much as I hate that reality, people are dumb and will do stupid things. So telling them, hey, don't do it, right now it's dangerous, people will be like, are you sure though? And go out and get sacrificed to a cult of excess. It's a wild world out there. You know what surprises me? Games Workshop hasn't tried to make, some weird, pseudo Settlers of Catan kind of game out of Warhammer Fantasy. Think about it. You could have it where it's you build... it's it's a hybrid of that and Risk. So it's you claim land, you can upgrade a town, build armies. Every turn or something, there can be an event deck that's you drew this, and it's okay, an army attacks, a Skaven army shows up. If you own any dwarven holds on tiles 1, 15, and 27, they're all getting attacked by an X-size army. You know, resolve the fight as normal. If you lose it, that becomes a wild, Skaven territory that you have to fight to reclaim. You could introduce chaos events, and actually a fair amount. It kind of, now that I think about it, it reminds me of, I'm trying to think of it, Eldritch Horror, that board game, where they had a ton of expansions for it and added a ton of stuff. That would actually be really cool. I mean, the average game session would probably take ages, but honestly, I think it'd be fun, even if I never complete a game and I just screw around for a few hours with friends, that'd be worth doing. Hey, Chaos Knight! Finally, one of you! Look at those guys, threatening. I mean, I did just, like, machine gun him and turn him into a pincushion, but imagine if I wasn't playing a fairly cheesy character whose whole shtick is range, damage, and bleed. Or, not bleed, but poison. Oh, I actually had a comment. I had answered it in Udo's last video, but I figure anybody who didn't see it and just kind of either watched the video or skipped over it, I was asked, is this game worthwhile? The guy wanted to know because he currently plays Diablo, and I had said, you know, if you're looking for co-op, I've never looked for people, so Diablo is probably your better bet. Just because there's more people playing, most likely. You know, it has an established community and whatnot. And if you're willing to overlook it, this game's fun, but it does suffer. Like, one prime example is, look at the gear. Like, it's just Tirsith Waystalker Tunic, Arguelon Waystalker Tunic. There's no, like, prefixes. It's not, you know, an Arguelon Waystalker Tunic of the Lizard, and it gives me, like, bonus health regen. It's just like, oh yeah, those are just included in the stats. And it kind of makes it feel boring. And also the lack of enemies with a prefix, so you don't find, like, a fire chain enemy, where there's, you know, 3 of them, and they have a damage over time ring, or, like, line drawn between all of them. I always loved that in Diablo. Because you could go into a room and be like, oh, I'm just gonna fight, you know, some garbage zombies or skeletons. And suddenly it's like, oh, hey, here's some high-level, like, freezing skeletons. And I always remember freezing, like I think it's a freeze nova, where they'd create, like, the shaking ice crystal that shatters and freezes you. That was always just the most terrifying thing on Torment. Like, the second I saw one of those, I was either running away or trying to, like, push through and kill them as fast as possible. But you don't really get that in this, and that is, the more I think about it, it's such a big problem because you just sit around smacking the same dudes again and again and again. Like, on one hand, it's like, oh, cool, you know, we've got Slaneshi, the Demonettes, and it's like, okay, that's cool. But then it's just the same Demonettes again and again and again. And it does suffer. It makes gameplay feel very repetitive, very bland. That's why I kind of get a little frustrated playing at times. It's just like, oh, here's the same 4 types of enemies. That's why I'm always happy to see these Chaos Knights. Like, hey, this is a new enemy, this is a new challenge. This is something different. And that is, it's a big weak point this game has, is the lack of diversity in its enemy pool. Its loot pool, it has cool stuff like the boss rush and the tower mode. Those are very interesting, and I can definitely appreciate those. But I feel like those modes don't make up for other things missing. Hey, the entrance.
You dare seek the key to the sacred garden?
Dude's got a bit of a belly on him.
Seize the unbeliever and bring the sacred key to me.
I will say his helmet does look cool. But yeah, like, there are discernible issues. That is for sure. Do I think the game could fix them? I think the developers could fix them. I think it is, unfortunately, too late in the game's lifespan to do it. It's been so long that I think they've just kind of settled and said this is it. I mean, it'd be cool if we got a DLC that added orcs or the Vampire Coast or really anyone. Like, there's so many factions that they don't really touch on that I feel like would add some needed change to the game. But I don't think they allow them. Like I've said, I think I mentioned before, like Skaven. Skaven would be fun. But I don't think it'll happen. And there is also another flaw in the game. It's a game I would suggest to people who really like Warhammer Fantasy. That said, if you have a PC, I'd say just get like Total War Warhammer. It's not an ARPG by any means, but it's still just a really fun and pretty deep Warhammer game, and let's be honest, we don't get many Warhammer Fantasy video games. I mean, before Total War Warhammer, what did we have? Mark of Chaos, I think? I think it was like an RTS? Way back. We had that, I think there was an MMO? Like, these games are so old, I barely remember them. Like, they're just kind of a fragment of a memory. So, you know, it's one of those things where we don't get them very often. It's kind of similar to 40K, where it's like, 40K is getting video games, but if you were to say, like, hey, what was the best 40K game in the past, 5 years? I'd be like, probably Martyr. Because, let's be honest, a lot of them have been kind of bland. Like, horribly simplified combat mechanics, not very interesting or honestly very intuitive. And those aren't limitations of the franchise. Those are limitations of what the developers want to create. Is it wrong? No, it's the creator's vision. If they design a game to be a certain way, that is their intent. If it's good or not, that's an individual's judgment. What I think is good is not good to other people. I mean, hell, a great example is a massive action game, MAG. I love that game. The game's 10 years old. The servers have been shut down for 6 years. I love that game to death. I am part of the community here on the PlayStation for it. And there are people who disagree with me. Sometimes I get hate mail for it, which, by the way, is funny as can be. But, people disagree on things. And that's fine. People can agree or disagree on whether or not a game is good. I think we can all agree, though, I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more Warhammer Fantasy. I'd like to see more 40K. Yeah, we've had... what was it? Mordhau? Not Mordhau, Mordheim. Mordhau is a completely different thing. Mordheim, City of the Damned. We had that, which I mean, isn't bad, but I didn't vibe with it. But, you know, once again, that's just me. Would I like to see someone else take a shot at making a Mordheim-style game? Yeah, maybe not do how the original game is designed. You know, change the mechanics a bit. Might be interesting. But I'm all for seeing something new be tried. Wow, that went on a bit of a tangent. Oh wow, I'm actually maxed out on loot. Did I? No, I had to have... Maybe I didn't actually empty my loot from the last run. Whatever. Not like I'm really missing out on anything. A blue pair of pants, it looks like. Wait, I saw a bow. Wish there was a button that I could just hit that's like filter by, you know, if it's a plus to attack, plus to defense, or a plus to both. Or like a neutral or better. Because I'd really like to kind of go through these and not have to try to rapid fire process everything and be like, is this work good? No? Huh? Move. Because even though it's a very minor thing, it takes time.
There is the monument. Now, where is the key?
I love how it freezes enemies, but my summons are totally cool to just run around and hit people. What a thud. Okay, now I gotta dump stuff. That orange dagger may actually be useful. Tell me, do you have any crap daggers, like a white? You have a crap bow, I can ditch that. Give me that. Is that better? No, I expected that. Give me my key.
Now to use the runestone and escape.
I said it before, but I find it weird how Tackless is like, oh yeah, I can't leave the the stone I used to teleport us all here because Slaanesh, you know, will instantly be able to identify me because of my soul, because I'm an elf. But you, Alessia, you're a wood elf. That's different. Like, hold up, what do you mean? Like, he doesn't even say that though. He's just like, oh yeah, I can't. And it's like, okay, but what about the wood elf with you? Are you like, within the lore, to my understanding, the wood elves and the high elves are different because it's like, hey, we split off a while back, but you're still elves, and I feel like Slaanesh would still be able to tell, like, this is a slightly funkier tasting soul or smelling soul, but it's still an elf. Like, they can probably identify dark elves. Don't really see the issue. Erlanger, I got the key, I think.
Oh, did you find it? Did you find the key?
Naturally. It was right where you said it would be.
I knew it! Oh, if those fools back at the university in Nuln could see me now! I need to research the finer aspects of the key's operation. Return to me when you are ready, and together we shall unlock the Garden of Contemplation.
Woo! Alright, so that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.